Well, that was one interesting ball game. It looked like the Rockies had it in the bag, and then a classic Coors Field ball game as the Los Angeles Dodgers come from behind to win this one by a final score of 11-9. They improve, as I said, to 45-29. The Rockies fall to 25-47. We'll break it down on tonight's episode of your Locked On Crossover Postcast with my guy, Pete Fox. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
It is Locked On Sports, your team every day. I am one of your hosts, Anilo Piro, joined by my guy, Pete Fox, who is the host of the Locked On Dodgers Postcast. I'm the host of the Locked On Rockies Postcast. And Pete, you and I were watching this end of this game together. And this is what I like to call a Coors Field classic, as the Dodgers come from behind 11-9 with a pretty impressive victory as the Rockies blow yet another heartbreaking game.
Yeah, that one sucked for you Rocky fans. That's unfair. They got jobbed by the referees or umpires, whatever you want to call them. You know me, I'm a big fan of robot umpires, at least behind the plate. And this would be a perfect situation where if there were robot umpires, the game would have turned out the way that it should have. The Dodgers did not deserve to win that game. That was absolutely a strike, a swinging check swing, third strike call there, which would have gone in favor of the Rockies, and they would have won the game 9-8. And I still feel like even if that were the case, this would have been a moral victory for the Dodgers to come and dig their way out of this hole that they were in this game, because the Rockies just kept coming. That every time the Dodgers would try to rally and get a run or two, get a little bit closer, the Rockies would answer with another run, and they kept extending and widening the lead until the ninth inning, when the Dodgers posted 7 with a grand slam from Jay Hay, and then a 3-run shot there from Teoscar Hernandez. So Teoscar Hernandez should have struck out, but instead he hit a 3-run home run. And I don't even know that it was a terrible pitch. It was just a nice piece of hitting from Teoscar Hernandez. So the Dodgers steal one here for sure, but it's absolutely what you get at Coors Field. So I don't think we should at all be surprised at the way this one turned out.
Yeah, it's never a dull moment. As you see, we got the comment here from Craig. Dodgers come roaring back. That is an understatement. And I'm happy that we're in agreement that despite the Jason Hayward grand slam there that, got it to a 1-run deficit for the Dodgers, they did get a little bit of a break from the umpiring here tonight, which is, it's just that's how it's going to go. But just a shameful job on the Rockies end. I can attest to this. Their bullpen has been an absolute disaster. And really, they just spoil another solid start from their starting pitching. This has been the theme all year. Pete, Austin Gomber tonight, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. But for Rocky standards, specifically pitching at Coors Field, you'll take that night in and night out, and the bullpen just absolutely blowing this one. Buddy Black was hot. Right fielder Jake Cave was hot, and rightfully so. But as Buddy likes to say, that's baseball.
Indeed it is. That's kind of the way it goes. But it was a nice piece of hitting there from Jason Hayward with the home run off the foul pole in the 7th. The bases loaded. I mean, look, you got to get into that position, and that was nice at bats from the Dodgers there in clutch position, high leverage at the end of the game there. They got on base, they loaded the bases, and Jason Hayward took advantage of it. So that was cool. Again, I don't feel like the pitch to Teoscar Hernandez from, was it Vodnik or Kinley?
Victor Vodnik.
Vodnik.
Yep.
I don't feel like it was a bad pitch. I just feel like it was a really nice piece of hitting. And to go from you're basically out and the game is over to hitting a home run on the very next pitch, I mean, that is high drama. And some of the comments here, as you pointed out, Craig, was like best win of the year. We kind of quickly, before the game was even over, we were getting comments from BC here about Buehler's ERA. So this game for Dodger fans is probably, without the home runs in the 9th, more about what Walker Buehler did than what they did at the plate, because Walker Buehler, again, very shaky. I'm surprised they left him in there 4 innings, giving up 7 runs on 7 hits. He was not good. He was worse than last time out. But still, now that was no decision there, so he didn't get the loss, but deserved to lose this game. So he should be 1-5, but instead he's 1-4 and hasn't looked good in his last 2 outings. So still definitely a big question mark hanging over Walker Buehler's head as to where he is on the return from the Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, let's talk about Buehler here for a second, because we're talking about a guy that, at one point in his career, not so long ago, was considered one of the better young and up-and-coming pitchers in Major League Baseball. Do you attribute all of these struggles this season to the Tommy John recovery? And here's the other thing. I know that leading up to this game, he's been a little up and down, but you always have to put a little bit of an asterisk when you're pitching at Coors Field as well, I feel like.
Without a doubt. But yeah, it does seem like, I try to defend him a little bit. The comments are, DFA him, trade him, he's done. Maybe you could still get something for him. I don't think we're there yet. But again, I've been on vacation for, a better part of 2 weeks. So I didn't see any of the last couple of outings. I saw tonight, obviously, but it didn't look good tonight at all. And I'm like, well, maybe there is something to the fact that he hasn't quite figured it out yet. It hasn't returned to 100%, is not ready. But my comment last time I saw him pitch like this was, what are you going to do? You're not going to send him back to AAA to get more rehab starts.
Good point.
I think you got to just work through this and hope for the best. But he did not look good today, leaving too many balls over the plate. And again, the Rockies took advantage of most every bad pitch that he made today. And every time the Dodgers would try to answer and rally, they would take advantage of another bad pitch from Walker Buehler. And the fact that he made it through 4 was just surprising from Dave Roberts' perspective. Like, really? You're going to leave him in there for 7 runs on 7 hits and 2 home runs? It's like, that was, I thought he'd be gone in the second. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at that as well. And, I actually but I did the standard Locked On Rockies podcast today with my guy, Paul Holden. And, the Dodgers have been a thorn in the Rockies side ever since the Rockies have been a ball club for the most part. But one of the main topics we were talking about is like, what makes the Dodgers different? Like what do the Dodgers do that the Rockies don't? And I think the resiliency that you saw on display tonight, staying in this game, not the best start from Buehler, but having there's not an easy out for the most part in this Dodgers lineup on a game in and game out basis. I think you just saw, as much as the Rocky fan hates to admit this and see this, that's why they are the Dodgers, because just, Coors Field, Rockies, bad pitching, bullpen, all of that aside, they're never out of these games because of the way that they go about their business on a game in and game out basis. And I think tonight's another example of that.
Yeah, down 4-0. They answer back with a run in the second inning, which was nice to see, because it kind of felt like the Rockies were going to pull away. And then in the second, Andy Pages hits a home run. So I think when you give up 4 in the first, the way Walker Buehler did, seemingly in the blink of an eye, and then you answer back with at least a run, especially on a home run, it says a little bit about, or gives a little bit of confidence to the offense. So I like the fact that the Dodgers kept coming. Shohei Ohtani, a home run in this one. He had a pretty decent game. And, of course, the other thing that Dodger fans are all kind of maybe not vocalizing, but worried about is what the absence of Mookie Betts is going to be. And one of our BC commented that, who needs Mookie Betts, right? Yeah. I think a lot of people that aren't necessarily close to the Dodgers and don't follow them regularly think that's the feeling. It's like, so what if Mookie Betts is hurt? The Dodgers are embarrassingly rich with talent, so they don't need Mookie Betts. It's not a problem. But I think Dodger fans in the back of their mind and their heart of hearts are very worried about what this all means. And Shohei Ohtani needs to pick it up, basically pick up the slack for the absence of Mookie Betts. And he's clearly capable of that. 2 for 5 tonight with 2 RBI and a home run. Will Smith was 0 for Freddie Freeman, who's really been up and down. He'll go through a streak of 3 or 4 games where he's good. And then he'll go ice cold for a couple of games. So I feel like, yes, the Dodgers have more talent than most, and Mookie Betts being hurt shouldn't be a problem, but Dodger fans don't look at it that way. They're saying this is definitely something we are going to worry about, whether the rest of you like it or not.
Yeah, I am familiar with the Dodger fan. I have a few of my best buddies growing up, so I hear it all the time in the group chats and the conversation. A restless bunch, but the standard has been set high. And you mentioned Shohei Ohtani's line tonight. He's also hitting .316 with an OPS of .996. So he's doing a pretty darn good job out there. And look, I know the Dodger fan doesn't want to hear much about the Rockies. They're an afterthought, but Ezekiel Tovar had another double tonight, and we talked about him a lot in the last program that we did together. His 23rd double of the year. I'll mention some of his numbers a little bit later on in the program. I mean, this guy is a stud, and he's a guy that will hopefully for the Rockies be a thorn in the Dodgers side at some point in the near future if this team could ever get it together. But, all in all, just another classic Coors Field game as the Dodgers storm back to win this game 11-9. But let's continue along with the conversation here in just a moment. Let's hit a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the pitching matchups and the series as a whole with my guy Pete Fox right here on your Locked On Sports Crossover. All right, guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Game Time real quick, because Game Time is the best place to get your tickets without a doubt. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, and with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Let me tell you about some of my favorite features with Game Time, guys, because their last-minute deals, you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. And look, I know a majority of you who are in this chat right now or watching this show are probably going to want some Dodgers tickets or probably going to want some Rockies tickets, but you can get your concert tickets, comedy, and theater with our friends at Game Time. They're flash deals. You can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event, or you can go with a zone deal, which is where you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats for you. You can also get a panoramic view of your seat in the Game Time app before you buy, and the lowest ticket price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage as well, guys. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And while I'm here, let me tell you as well about our friends over at Supply House, because you can get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources on the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All right, Pete, welcome on back in to your Locked On Crossover postcast, rather, I should say. Anilo Piro of the Locked On Rockies postcast, Pete Fox of the Locked On Dodgers postcast, as the Dodgers come storming back 11-9 to win this game, improving to 46-29 on the season. Big time clutch grand slam from Jason Hayward. It's sometimes it's funny to me, Pete. Every time I see Jason Hayward, I was watching I think yesterday's game with my dad for a little bit, and he's like, he's still in the league. And he's one of like those rehab assignments for the Dodgers, still getting some juice out of the veteran, but a clutch grand slam to set up ultimately a big comeback victory for them.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons they keep him around, because he has the capability of doing that. Right. What was the guy that Philadelphia Philly Chase, what was that guy's name? Chase Utley. Right. Yeah. They had him around for more years than a lot of people thought they should because of that very thing. Now, Chase Utley's not a guy that hits home runs like J-Hay is, but he did a lot of good things and brought a veteran influence to the team. And I think that's what Jason Hayward does for this team. And the fact that he's a solid outfielder and can hit home runs, and, he's not a big average guy, but when you've got James Outman, who had a great year last year and then was struggling, they ended up sending him to AAA to try and figure it out, because Jason Hernandez, I don't keep calling him Jason Hernandez, because Teoscar Hernandez hit a home run as well. and I've been off for 3 weeks, so I'm struggling with the names. But Jay Hay hit the home run and was healthy to come back. So they, optioned James Outman to the minor league. So yeah, it wasn't quite the bomb that Shohei Ohtani hit of 476 feet. That was an absolute no doubter. I was surprised to see that the Teoscar Hernandez home run was 423 feet. It didn't seem like it was that big of a bomb. But the one that Brenton Doyle hit was right around that same distance at 427 feet. I guess all of these things are very typical for Coors Field and for you Rocky fans, right?
Yeah, and I'll never forget when the All-Star game was here, and what was that, 2021? I was working at his media, and obviously I'm happy to be at an All-Star game in general, but I made sure I was in my seat for when Shohei Ohtani was up to hit in the home run derby. And it's funny because you get little shades of that whenever these games are played at Coors, and it really was the game of the long ball. In the bottom of the first, the Rockies get their first couple of runs off a pair of doubles from Ezekiel Tovar, his 23rd of the year, as I mentioned. Ryan McMahon, the California product as well, his 16th double of the season, of the season. And they get a sacrifice fly, their 4th run home. But then it's an Andy Paez home run in the second. It's an Eleris Montero also in the second. Shohei, as you alluded to, Brenton Doyle in the 4th inning. I mean, it was just on and on and on. Shohei, another one. It was a home run barrage tonight at Coors Field.
Yeah, the fact that the Dodgers worked their way back into this one was quite exciting, and it's good for their confidence. I feel like anytime the Dodgers pull this off, most people are upset and ticked off, and like, what else would you expect from this loaded team, especially at Coors Field in Colorado? But this team definitely lately has been going through struggles. This is their 3rd win in a row, but they dropped 2 of 3 to the Royals, which was surprising. Is that right? No, they won 2 of 3.
No, they won 2 of 3. They got swept by the Rangers, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the Rangers were a good team, but it feels like at any given time, this Dodger team can drop 3 or 4 in a row, and it doesn't really matter who the opponent is. As I was away on vacation, I was really excited to see the fact that they went into New York and beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. Now, I looked leading up to that game. I looked at the Dodgers schedule and I went back 2 or 3 weeks and I was like, they haven't played anybody good. This Yankee series is going to be the first series against a good team that they've played. So nothing personal, but the Rockies aren't really a tough challenge, but they do play hard, whether it's in LA or in Colorado. And they definitely, give the Dodgers their, as you put it, Anilo, they're definitely a thorn in the Dodgers' side. Even when the Dodgers win, they don't roll over and go away quietly. They don't make it easy on the Dodgers. So these games, I think, when they are able to rally and come back, it does a lot for their overall confidence. And not that the Dodgers need help with their confidence, but I feel like if you're in deep with this team the way I am and the way the fans are that are here on the comments and that watch us every night on the postcast, this Dodger team doesn't necessarily have that dominant confidence that you would expect from this lineup, especially with Mookie Betts being hurt for the next 5 to 6 weeks. So this kind of win does a lot to build that confidence up and down the lineup, both, for the team as a whole and for the players individually that had big performances in this game.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to confidence for the Dodgers, right, I feel like with the guys that they do have, especially when Betts is in the lineup, it's much more of a sly confidence. I look at the Yankees, right, and you've got big personalities. You've got Juan Soto. Aaron Judge has started to embrace that. I feel like guys like Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and all those guys a little bit more low key. And so maybe you don't see it through the passion all the time. But again, tonight is just the latest example of when this team needs to flip a switch, and yes, it is against the Rockies, they're still able to do that. So all in all, I think just another look. I know the Phillies have been red hot, but I still think regardless of how good Philly's been, regardless of how good some of these teams have been in the National League, the Dodgers are still going to be the team to beat when it all is said and done, just like they typically are. So we'll see how the rest of this series and this season plays out. But real quick on the Rockies too, man, like I talked about this on last night's Locked On Rockies postcast, and I know you and I think I mentioned it in the first segment as well. Like they're 25-48, and they're 11 games back of a wild card spot. Miami's 12 games back. The team the longest gap ahead of the Rockies is the Cubs at a game and a half back. So it's like you've got this hyper competitive National League, right? You've got Atlanta, St. Louis, Arizona, and San Francisco, the Mets, the Nationals, all in the mix. And then it's like you've got just a big line and the Rockies and the Marlins. It's hard for the fans to get excited about anything, but I will say this. Like I said, Ryan McMahon, a good game tonight. Elias Diaz due to come off the injured list. I do get curious to see if the Rockies end up, dangling some of these guys out there on the trade block as well.
I got a quick question for you, which we can answer after the break. Here's the tease. I got a tease. I got a good tease for you. But I feel like this Dodger game, this win for the Dodgers, can go a long way in building confidence, not tomorrow or the next day, but in a month or two into the playoffs. When it's something, if they do this, and I'm sure they will, multiple times throughout the season, you can flash back to it. Remember what we did there in Colorado when we were down and we scored 7 in the ninth. It's possible, that kind of a thing. I want to ask you how you think it might affect the Rockies, and we'll do that next.
Okay.
All right. Tonight's show is brought to you in part also by PrizePicks. What is PrizePicks? Well, it's America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members, and it is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS, daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more or less, 2 to 6 players and their stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. If you're into promotions like I am, I enjoy anytime there's a discount or something's on sale. Well, PrizePicks does that for you. They have stat projections that are discounted at times where they will lower your player stat projection on Tuesdays, which increases your chances of winning. And then on Fridays, they have a stat projection thing where if you lose, you can get your money back. So those are 2 cool things that will, make things easier for you, a little bit more interesting and a little bit more fun. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game. Watching your favorite sports this summer, you can make a PrizePicks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You need to pick more or less, again, on 2 to 6 players and their stat projections, and then you're locked in. They have quick and painless withdrawals, which is a huge thing for me, having done other sports wagering, projecting, betting, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes getting the withdrawal is not that simple. With PrizePicks, it is. And the deposit is also very, very easy. And they give you a nice little bonus up to 100% of your money, up to $100. So if you give 100, they'll give you 100 and you can double your money. So it is easy and painless and super fun. It makes the games a lot more exciting. And it's not just, scores and things of that nature. They get into some very deep projections and angles on players and pitchers and baseball, as far as stealing bases and total bases. There are so many different angles, and obviously there's options on golf and tennis, and the basketball season obviously is over. Potentially the hockey season might be over tonight. I don't know if the Oilers held on to win, but those are things that I look at and I say, all right, even though this series might be over because you think the Panthers are the favorite and they're going to cruise to victory and win this series rather easily, if you have a prize pick in on one of the players or stat projection on this game, it definitely makes it a little bit more exciting. So make sure you check it out. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code LockedOn for your first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy.
Well done, my friend. And I'm sure you could have got some good action on the Dodgers tonight if, when they're down but not out, and they come back to storm back and win 11-9 tonight. So what was that question?
Speaking of storming back, the Oilers are trying to do it against the Panthers.
Ooh.
They were down 3-0. They win again tonight to make it a 3-2 series. So those Edmonton Oiler fans north of the border are clinging to life.
Love it. Love it. And then, PrizePicks is going to be a great spot for all your baseball once we get into that as well, once all the other sports are done. So, yeah, interesting game tonight, my man, 11-9. And you were talking about how, games like this are the ones you could look back on.
Here's the question. How do you think this affects the Rockies? Is it more negativity or, hey, we got job, turn the page, we should have won that game. The offense was great. Doyle with 4 hits. including a home run. As you mentioned, Tovar had a nice game. So they could turn this around and say, look, we're not a playoff contending team. So the fact that we lost this ultimately does not affect us. But Cave acted like this game meant something, right? Like this game was important to them. It's really not. They played well. They got jobbed by the umpires at the end of the day. So is this a game that they could maybe say, hey, we deserve to win that one, we're a better team than our record would indicate? Or is this one that's going to hang over their head for a little while?
I think it's going to hang over their head for a little bit. And like here's the thing. I know they're not a very good ball club right now, but having been in that clubhouse and around some of these guys, like they are hyper competitive, and I'm like literally looking to my right as you're saying that. And Jake Cave's like talking with the media after the game, like, and he's still got that fire in his eye. Right. And it's also frustrating when you lose. Look, it is a judgment call from the umpire, but you give up the grand slam and all that kind of stuff. But it is frustrating when the game comes down to a decision from the umpire. Did he go? Did he not go? And so I think it's one thing to lose 11-9 straight up. It's another thing to feel they're probably feeling a little bit robbed, in that clubhouse right now. And I think rightfully so. So, it's interesting. And I'll throw this back out there because I was talking about it again on the Locked On Rockies postcast with my guy Paul earlier today, and he was asking me, like, what is the definition of a successful season to you? And I think the definition for the Rockies is embracing the suck. They have a lot of these middling, aging players. Like, why are you playing them? Play all of your young guys. They just called up their 21-year-old second baseman. And they have been middling in this purgatory ever since they traded Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story left and all that kind of stuff. You're seeing some of the foundation. Brenton Doyle, I don't know if you saw it, had an absolutely sensational catch on Shohei Ohtani, a ball that should have been in the gap and would have blown this game right open. So they've got some young talent, but they're still middling. So yes, I do think it will hang over their heads, but they've got to figure out a way to find a direction overall because right now they're a rudderless ship.
Daniel says DFA the entire Rockies team. Come on, Daniel. That is not nice. One of my biggest pet peeves right now in baseball is the home plate umpires. I don't think we should have these conversations, right? It'd make our job a little bit harder, but it would be so much easier to just know what a strike is. Especially I get so upset. I don't care if it's the Dodgers, I don't care who it is. I get so upset when catchers are good enough with the framing to fool the umpire, right? Will Smith did it tonight. And like to put salt in the wound for the Rockies after they lost the game because of a bad call. And in the bottom of the inning, Will Smith pulls one about, 8 inches from the outside to in the strike zone. And the umpire called it a strike. That just shouldn't happen. It's they should make a rule like they did with shifting. You can't frame the ball. Wherever you catch it is where you catch it, right? I'm sorry. You can't be like the little league, fine. High school, fine. I'm okay with it there because it's a skill. I get it. But these guys are the best in the world at this. And it's not fair to the batters, right? They know what a strike is, most of them.
Yep.
Almost all the time. They know what a strike is. So when it's outside, and we know what a strike is too now, thanks to that little box on the screen. So when they're frame jobbing it, there should be a light that goes off, like the pitch clock. Oh, no, that was a frame job. Sorry. You can't frame. No framing. Framing's either robot umpires or no framing. That's my take. I can't stand it.
Well,
it's unfair.
I was going to say, I think robot umpires are on the way. It'll probably take a little while for them to install it, but I do think that'll come sooner rather than later. And then that's the thing. It used to be like the nuanced part of the game, right? There was some charm with it, but now it's just getting out of hand. It's just, and look, you mentioned it. The Dodgers got a couple of good breaks tonight on the pitch framing. So do the Rockies. There's always probably 4 or 5 strikeouts throughout a course of a game where you're like, maybe not on the fringe, but hopefully they get that corrected.
4 or 5? You think there was that many? That's crazy. There should be 1 or 2, maybe. I'm not talking about an entire at bat. I'm talking about a strike call. There shouldn't be that many, And even if it means the strike zone's a little bit potentially bigger, okay, fine. Right. As long as it's the same for everybody. What was that guy that just retired that was the worst umpire in the history?
Hernandez,
right? Like that guy missed calls everywhere, not just at home plate, calling balls and strikes. The famous one is against the Rockies, right? Where he was like 1.5 feet off the bag. So I don't think in this day and age with the technology that is available to us, and I think people I don't know if you've seen it, Anilo, but it's not there's not going to be an actual robot. It's not going to be a computer screen behind home plate.
No.
There'll still be a human being there, but he's just getting the information in his ear from the computer, which is up in the press box, and it will happen instantaneously. You won't even know that he's not calling the ball or strike. Now, granted, I think the umpires union is going to be a little ticked off about it, but I don't care, because you guys are not perfect, and nobody is. We get it. We know that you're not perfect, but in this day and age, balls and strikes should be perfect. It should not be a gray area, because it is a finite thing.
I completely agree with you. And like I said, hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, but it is frustrating when it impacts the outcome of these games. And I know that was a check swing that we saw tonight, but too often, in many a Dodger games and many a Rocky games, we've seen it all shake out. So, real quick before we get out of here, tomorrow's matchup, Ryan Feltner on the mound for the Rockies, 1-6 with a 5.71 ERA, going up against Bo Miller for the Dodgers. He's 1-1 with a 5.40 ERA. So we'll see. The Dodgers have an opportunity to clinch the series tomorrow, though.
Bo Miller. Oh, Bobby Miller. Yeah.
Oh, Bobby Miller. Excuse me.
Yeah. Back off the DL or the IL. So I don't know if this is his first return to action, but he's been very good. And a lot of Dodger fans have been anxiously awaiting his return. So that should be very interesting to see how that all turns out for them. But I think after Walker Buehler's performance today, anything Bobby Miller does today, save giving up 7 runs and 4 innings, I think will be a win, because Walker Buehler right now is definitely a sore thumb in the Dodger rotation that Dodger fans are really scratching their head about. Like, what are we going to do with Walker Buehler? Because, through the rest of the lineup, it's fairly solid. There's a lot of good stuff happening there for the Dodgers and their pitching rotation. Almost, again, an embarrassment of riches. Like, you might, if it were playoff time, you would struggle to find your 4 starters because they have a lot of options and a lot of things are going well, and Clayton Kershaw is getting healthy and getting closer to returning every day. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Bobby Miller tomorrow for sure, as the Dodgers look for, is this a 4-game series?
4-game series.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So tomorrow you're going to be there, right? Is that the deal?
That is the plan, and I think we're going to run it back here on the crossover episode. So I'll be in the friendly confines of Coors Field, and hopefully on my end, I can talk about some positivity from the Rockies. Bring the Dodgers back down to earth a little bit. But we'll have a good time with it, and away we go. But any closing thoughts before we get out of here, Pete?
No, I'm happy to be back at it, and I thank you for allowing me to wade into the shallow end in here after a long day of traveling across the world. So I appreciate you propping me up today. Thank you.
All good, my friend. We'll do it again tomorrow. And for the listeners out there, thank you guys so much. Make sure to smash that subscribe button on the Locked On Denver Sports channel, as well as the Locked On Los Angeles Sports channel, as Pete's got you locked down. I got you locked down for the Rockies as well. But we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Dodgers win tonight 11-9. We'll see what Wednesday holds.